What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We got another game review today. Today we're talking about the new crafting survival core-ish game called Once Human. I'm sure you've heard of it by now. If you haven't, it's a new crafting survival game to the likes of Rust, Power World, because I'm inexperienced with these. Ark Survival. There's a bunch of them out there. This is actually my only second one, so take it with a grain of salt. I've only played this and Power World, and the only reason I played this was because I played Power World, and I played Power World because it was similar to Pokemon but with guns. So my opinions may not be the best if you're looking for someone with experience with crafting survival games, but if you're looking for someone with just a gaming perspective overall, I've been gaming pretty much my entire life. So I do have a decent perspective on gaming, I think, and I am getting more into the crafting survival genre. Although it's not 100% for me, I do enjoy it and I do like it, and I could see playing these games just in my free time, maybe not on stream. So with that said, take my opinions with a grain of salt. Today we're going to walk through pros, cons, and meh stuff about the game. If you see me looking down, it's me referring to a list that I wrote down to keep track of my opinion of the game, things I liked, didn't like, things that I was so on. But the premise of this game is essentially that in this universe, a rift has opened between this and another world, and Stardust is leaking in through another world. And along with Stardust, there's also the monsters or creatures called deviations, and then there's creatures that help you out called deviants that you have in the what looks like a backpack on your back. And you're what's called a metahuman, where you have more power and strength and ability than regular humans, so you're able to deal with the Stardust environment. You do have to take like meds for it and stuff, but you are able to deal with the Stardust environment and fight the deviations with the help of your deviant. There's bosses, there's regular monsters, there's obviously crafting in this. You can make a base, and then you can actually put tents around the map to where you can respawn in the tent instead of having to respawn all the way back at the base. You can respawn back at your tent, and then the tent you can actually craft at as well. And when you're in the tent or your base, your dehydration and your hunger rate slows, so you don't get as hungry or thirsty as fast. In the base, I think it's 80%, tent's 50%. So it's an interesting game. It's really a great game, I think. So let's go ahead, before I start ruining my pros, cons, and meh list. We're going to go from bad to meh to good, just to end on a positive note. So the cons I have are that there are no player voice lines. When you interact with NPCs and you dialogue, you can choose your dialogue, but there's no voice acting for your characters. I think there should have at least been a basic male and a basic female voice just to make the game a little more interesting. It feels very Nintendo, which Nintendo isn't the most popular platform in the gaming content and streaming world, and I think part of that is due to the lack of voice acting. It is what keeps me away from grinding out Nintendo story games at times, but it is what it is. And along that line, the animation of NPCs while they're speaking looks very outdated and very old, just like the actual animation. The graphics in this game are good, which we'll talk about more, but the animations of the NPCs talking when you're in those dialogue scenes just looks very outdated and doesn't look as lifelike as you would expect in 2024. Along with that, something I don't have on my list but isn't great is the jump animation is really weird. Whatever. A big one that I think is a problem in this game is the building is very clunky. If you go around the map, at least in the server that I'm in, there is a lot of buildings without roofs because I spent 30 minutes trying to get a corner roof to line up, and I just couldn't. It kept wanting to go to the outside of the building instead of the inside. Then I was trying to rotate walls, and instead of just simply rotating the wall because I thought it might be a wall alignment thing, which I think it is, it would go to the other side of that square of flooring and then be inside of the house instead of around the outside. So the building's very clunky and something that needs to be fixed. Then another thing that is not great is that the driving controls are only WASD. You can't change it to look around with your mouse. And I'm not a mouse and keyboard player, which we'll talk about more in the mess section. So maybe that's a me problem. Maybe that's a skill issue problem. I have that as an asterisk because it's a skill issue problem for me more than anything. But it makes driving feel very clunky, for at least for someone who's not experienced on mouse and keyboard. When you have the motorcycle, I haven't gone far enough to get four-wheeled vehicles, but on the motorcycle it feels very clunky. And then the last negative I have is that there's no solo servers. We'll talk about it more in the good section, but there's PvP and PvE servers. But for somebody who's new and just wants to explore on their own, Like in Power World, you can just be alone on your own island. It would be nice in Once Human if you were able to just be on your own. So that's the cons. It's not a super long list. The game does not have a lot of negatives to the point where I don't think you should play it. But there is a good amount of cons that can be frustrating, like the clunky building, and the driving can feel clunky. And if you're someone who's really looking for modern gaming, that animation of the NPCs when they speak and the no voice lines could be a frustrating experience as well. So moving on to stuff that I'm so about is the dialogue itself is not great. It's not horrible, but the dialogue just felt like at times that it was more like written like AI trying to sound human than it was humans. I didn't think the dialogue was super well written. It's not something that really takes away from the gameplay because there is so few scenes, at least in the 8 hours that I played, where you have to talk to NPCs. But the dialogue's not great. And then along those lines, I didn't think the voice acting was super good either. The voice acting sounds like they got a really good sounding human voice, but then had AI read it, and it just sounds clunky. And once again, I don't think this is a real con because it's not often that you have to interact and talk with these NPCs for very long. But it is something that could be grating for people. I just don't think it takes away from the fun of the game, really. And something I forgot to mention in my cons, that it's somewhere between the con and the so-so list, is I had a mission where it's earlier in the game, and Mary and NPCs following me around, and I'm fighting all of these deviants, or deviations, whatever. I mix up the terms because I don't know why you have the deviants that help you, and that's the deviation, and then the deviants that you fight. I don't know why the terms are so similar. They couldn't come up with other terms. You could put that under the con list. But the NPCs wasn't helping me in all these fights. She's just following me around and watching. And she's supposed to be another metahuman. That was frustrating. But that's not even on my list. It's just something else I noted. And then something that's meh is they're supposed to have controller support on this game. This game has been out over a week at the time of filming this. I think I'm going to release this review same day. But it's been out for over a week. They were supposed to have controller support on launch, and they do not. And as someone who doesn't play mouse and keyboard, this is really unfortunate. And once again, this is something that's just another skill issue, and I don't have it under a con because it doesn't take away from the game itself, just the experience for some people. So it's not a full con. It's kind of a so-so thing. But not only am I newer to the crafting survival world, but I also don't really play mouse and keyboard. I did on Power World because it was a chill game, and I didn't mind it here because it's more of a chill game for me. But it keeps me out of the PvP servers, and if I really fell in love with this game, I would want to be in PvP servers, like if I was really grinding this game, because PvP is really where my heart lies, and no controller support takes that away from me. Another so-so thing that really might be just more of me and a skill issue is the minimap doesn't rotate. In Apex, it doesn't rotate by default. I changed that setting. But at heart, I'm a COD kid growing up. COD and Halo and, you know, now Warzone. And I turn it on Apex, and I have rotating mini-maps. It's very disorienting for someone like me who's familiar and used to rotating mini-maps to not have the mini-map rotating. Not a huge issue. It's more of a skill issue on my part. But it's such a simple feature that I would like to see. Something that I don't have on this list that I forgot to add on the list also is there's just no auto move forward key. I know that's not always the case, but it would be nice to have just a move forward key. You know, like in Warzone, I think it's H is the default keybind, and if you hit it, it just moves forward for you. It's not really a big deal. It's just something I would have liked, but that's a my issue. Really for the so-so list, the poor dialogue and the poor voice acting kind of go hand in hand, and it doesn't really take away from the experience. It would have just been nice to have better voice acting and better dialogue. It is a free-to-play game, but there's microtransactions and season passes and blah, blah, blah. So people are spending money on this game, and it would be nice for that. And then the delayed controller support is more of a me and skill issue. The game, it doesn't take away from the game. And the no rotating minimap is another skill issue for me. And, you know, that's my problem. I know a lot of people like rotating minimaps. And if you play the game enough, or you play Apex without the map rotating, and I think Power World's map rotated, but there's a lot of games out there that maps don't rotate. And if you're used to it, it's not really an issue. It just is more of an issue for me. So finally, to finish on a good note, we have the pros. The graphics, the graphics are a little so-so when you're in these face-to-face dialogue scenes, but the graphics overall, actually, I think are really beautiful. I think the world looks beautiful. The details are great. I mean, the gameplay behind me is on medium, and it's downloaded from a VOD, and I still think the graphics look great. So I'm very happy with the graphics. Most of the graphics look very 2024, even if when you're up close in the dialogue scenes, they don't. Overall, I think the graphics do go down as a pro. I think this is a very pretty-looking game when you're just exploring the world. And I think the details on the deviants and deviations are all good. Like, I think this is a very good looking game overall. The graphics I'd probably give like an 8 out of 10. Wonderfully beautiful looking game. Really happy with that. I know that the crafting genre itself isn't unique, but I felt this game was very unique. I have a little bit of familiarity with the other crafting games. Like, I've seen stuff on it. But I like that there's a high variety of enemies and monsters, which we'll talk about in a second. And that there is crafting. Of course, it's a crafting game. But I don't, unless I'm just not familiar enough, I can't think of one where this is the storyline where they're beasts from another universe that you're fighting. And I know there's boss fights and normal enemy fights in all of them, but the boss fights that I've gotten into are some unique enemies, and I mean, some are just giant versions of other enemies, but I think very interesting, which leads me into the next one, and that's the unique enemies. There is a lot. I've only played 8 hours, and I've explored a third of the, maybe a little more than a third of the available map. And I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, I've run into 7 or 8 different enemies when you include the large ones, the elite enemies as they're called in this game, and the normal enemies. There is a lot of different enemies, and I really like that. I like that, you know, they have different abilities. Like, there's ones with big, like, stage lights on their head, and when you get close to them, they make this unique sound, which took me forever to figure out what it was because I'm just dumb sometimes. And your whole world gets like gray and fuzzy, and then like swing at you. And then there's ones that throw stuff at you. There's different bugs that fly that launch stuff at you. There's bugs that come up to you and explode. There's giant elite deviations that you have to fight. And I think there's a lot of enemies in this, and that's part of what makes it a unique game, is because there's so many enemies. I mean, obviously in Pal World, they have a lot of different pals out in the world that you have to deal with. But it's inspiration from Pokemon, and the Pokemon generations are in the hundreds of Pokemons now. Not the generations themselves, but total. And, you know, there is a lot of games that are survival crafting. They have, like, animals, so you have to find stuff. But these are, like, truly unique beasts from this other world that entered the normal world through a rift. And there's a lot of unique enemies, which is part of what makes this a unique game in my mind. So I really enjoyed that. And then my final pro is that they have both PvP and PvE servers. I know that in, like, some crafting games, like, I know Rust PvE is a big thing, and it could be the bigger thing in Once Human, but it's nice, especially for someone like me who's newer to survival crafting games, to have a PvE server. Although I would like solo servers, it's nice to have a server where I don't have to worry about getting my stuff robbed or getting raided or getting killed by other people, especially being newer to the genre, being on mouse and keyboard, which I'm not familiar with, and already having to deal with all the deviations. It's nice that I can be in servers where I don't have to worry about being killed by other people. So overall, those are my pros, my so-sos, my cons. Overall, I do think this is a good game. It's got good core. If it fixes, if it can fix not the driving controls. If it can fix the clunky building, that really would up the score on this game. Add controller support, add simple stuff like rotating minimap, an auto move forward key. You know, you can't really fix the poor dialogue and voice acting at this game, but I still think the core of the game is fun enough to completely ignore that. Solo servers or solo lands would be nice, just to be able to play this like it's a single player game. I don't know how common that is because, like I said, I'm still pretty new to this genre. But if you could just fix some of these issues, I think this game has really good bones. And for what the state of the game it is now, I would probably give it a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. If you fix, like, if you add a rotating mini-map and you add controller support and the possibility to be in solo lands or solo servers, fix the building, I could see this being a 7.5 or 8 out of 10 game that I play in my free time when I'm not streaming. So I definitely think that it's worth checking out. I'm going to go ahead and let the gameplay that's behind me keep running. It's just me exploring one of the city or location POIs. Well, I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called. Oh, it's Hearst Industrial Plant. And then these POIs, you know, you have objectives to complete. You have to find an armor or weapon crate. You have to find a mystical crate. You have to defeat a certain amount of enemies, a certain amount of elite enemies, and it changes POI to POI. And it's a really interesting way to explore the map and have purpose to go everywhere in the map instead of just, hey, it's an open world, go find stuff. And of course, as you find stuff like the mystical crate, you get good loot and all that. So I'm going to go and let that run in the back for the rest of the video. So enjoy that. Go try out Once Human if you're interested in this genre. If you're not, I still think it's a good way to get intro to the genre. So whether you already play it or you just want to try out this genre, I think Once Human is a good experience to go try it out for yourself. Just don't expect the building to be awesome right now. And of course it is on PC, which is a little limiting. And you do have to play a mouse and keyboard for now. So take everything I said into account on whether or not you want to play this game, but it is free to play. So the most you lose is time, because you can always uninstall it so you get that space back. So definitely worth trying. I like doing these reviews. I hope to see you in the next review. Let me know in the comments if you've played Once Human. If you haven't, let me know what your thoughts are if you have. From what you've seen, if you haven't, let me know if you're interested or what you think about it, or let me know what you think about it based off of the gameplay behind me. While you're scrolling down in the comments, don't forget that like, subscribe, notification bell. I want to do more game reviews on this channel, so you can be the first to see my opinion on many different games in the future. If you're interested in that, hit that notification bell. But I will see you in the next review. Have a great day. Bye. Maybe it's in here. I've been doing all this for nothing, maybe. Damn, okay. Sweet, game in the system. Good day up. Every night there's a night up. Well, it was for nothing. Maybe I can go up one of those. Try that. I didn't know no mattress. I take. Instantly more interested in this one. Got you soon, love. Is that it? Does this count as a mystical crate? It does, huh? Finally. I did. Fucking finally. Wait, that doesn't even count? That's a mystical crate. Oh shit, I have my wrong gun out. My wrong weapon. Still don't have the right one out. Ah, how does that one not count? Dude, I just don't know how to get up top here if this doesn't work. Nope. My flabbers are gasted. I'm at a complete loss on how to get onto the top of this structure. Unless there's just no way to get all the way up top. But there's enemies up there and crates. There's a way to get to the top. I mean, that's got to be where the mystical crate is. See? Oh, there it is. There's the mystical crate. I see it. It's right there. So how do I get up there? See, like, it looks like you can go in there, but you can't go in that. I'm still not convinced that it's not over here. The way up. I'm currently trying to get up to the top and get this mystical crate. Like, it looks like you can go up these conveyor belts, and you can't. And even if you could, this one's fake. And I can't just climb. That's too high to climb. So you go to this one, and I think the inside of this one leads to nothing as well. Yeah, this one leads to nothing. It's fake. You can't climb up these vines. And I thought it might be something with this building, but then when you look, it's not connected. Even if you can get on that, that doesn't jump to anything. So that walkway doesn't get me. But if you look, that's not a real thing that you can... Like, look, there's nothing for you there. And so I thought it was somewhere in here. But when you go in here, you quickly find out that this doesn't have... Like, when you go around the back of that, that's all that is. It's just going around there. And there's nothing in here for you to get up there. So it's not in here. Oh my god, dude, I got so many of these on me. And my machete's almost dead now. So, like, okay. So, anything in here? No, look, there's... Wait. There's an Bro. There's been an elevator here the whole time. Bro. What are we talking about, chat? What are we talking about? I could have been doing this the whole time. I don't know, chat. Oh, and there's... Holy, you want to talk about a mystical enemy. Maybe she'll ignore me. She's ignoring me. Oh, now she's not. She just doesn't do anything? Is this just like the easiest elite enemy kill ever? It is. Cool.